Hi, I'm Kathy Hester and welcome to my kitchen. This is where I do my live video. And so I wanted you to see where I work, and I want you to feel the same way as when I'm inviting my readers and clients in to basically hang out in the kitchen with me. So today we're going to be talking about live video for the shy and reluctant and not how to make a soup, but still I want you to feel cozy. I want you to feel like it's just you and me here together doing this, because that's what's really happening. And also because that's what you get to do to your audience. That's the reason that we want to do live video. Right now, with the new normal and all of these things going on, it's the perfect time to connect with your people. If you're a blogger like I am, I blog at plantbasedinstantpot.com and healthyslowcooking.com. I'm a cookbook author. So I do have people who are looking for ideas on how to make food, but also during this whole COVID thing, for the past, this is week 5, I've gone live every day, Monday through Friday, to visit with them, to be in their home, to have them be able to get out of their home, sit across the counter from me, and just have someone to check in with. So this is the perfect time to go live. So just know that, because you don't need to show someone the best way to break down a butternut squash or how to use their camera to do X, Y, and Z. You can literally just go on live today for your very first time to a Facebook page or an Instagram story or YouTube and just say, how are you doing? Are you guys doing okay? Is there anything that I can help you with? Right? That's it. So, and then you can be in and out of there. But one of the things that keeps us from doing some of these things is not the fact that we don't have the information to give our people, because we do. We're experts in what we do. And that goes without saying. But we kind of put in these false obstacles and we believe in these myths that put us off of going live. And while you might not be shy and reluctant in your normal day-to-day life, you may be putting some of these obstacles in front of yourself to keep yourself from doing live video, because it's really uncomfortable at first. There are some people who are just natural at talking to a camera like this. It took me a very long time. And we're going to talk about some tips and tricks that can help. And I think one of the things that's so important is that I'm imagining you on the other side of the camera right now, because it's you that I want to help. So I'm not going, ooh, look at the camera, or let me look over here, right? So having that, but also I don't want to be mesmerized and just stare into it either. So those are just some things to think about. Just be a normal person talking to another normal person. But so the first myth that I find that people worry about is they need expensive equipment to start. And that's just not true. If you have a phone or a laptop, let's get started today. As soon as you finish this, get off of here and go live and say hi to your audience. If you have a Facebook page, an Instagram, or YouTube. And I think some people are even able to go live on LinkedIn, which I have not done yet. Ecamm is my software of choice, but even when you're just getting started, so like what I'm recording to you now, I do have a nice Sony camera. I am using Ecamm in my laptop. But I could have my phone, and I could look at my phone, or I could have my laptop set up and just look at that light and record through there and go live through Ecamm, or even directly into Facebook to start off with. So you probably don't need to spend any money at all to get started and have things to practice on. Another thing is that people go, oh, but my hair doesn't look perfect, or oh, I have wrinkles, I'm older. Well, you know what? We all have something. And they're not, my audience isn't coming to me to see Giada, right? I don't have low-cut shirts. I'm not 30 years old. I don't do that. That's not my thing. My thing is being very welcoming, very real, making mistakes in real time, talking to people the way they come to me, right? And letting them know that I'm a human being that makes mistakes. So as I'm looking over here, I'm like, well, I'm always worried about my hair, or I'm worried about this, and it's going to be something for you. If it's, you know, do I smile crooked? Do I turn around wrong? Right? There is no right or wrong, there's just you. And one of the things I like to say to people is, like, if you're thinking, oh, my hair doesn't look good enough today, I can't go live. Would you cancel coffee with a best friend because your hair looked weird? No, of course you wouldn't, right? And going live is really about connection and connecting with your audience. It's not about, I am very perfect, let me tell you these things. You know, if you want to be on TV, that's great. And I'm not telling you shouldn't try to prep for TV if that's what you want to do. But live video is about connections. It's about being there for someone. It's like going and having coffee with a friend. Literally, with all the strangeness going on in the world, usually I do a cooking demo when I go on live, or an unboxing. And those are nice things to do because you don't have to think about anything else except for what you're doing. But I actually sat down and said, okay guys, if you're lonely, I'm going to cut all my onions up to freeze them. People hung out and we chatted because it's live. They have a voice. They get to talk to me too. And we chatted for an hour and a half and cut onions, right? No one's going to watch TV for that. I'm still shocked a little bit that people wanted to hang out with me that long, but things were weird. People were lonely. It was something normal. It was a bunch of people hanging out in my kitchen, and they felt like they were here with me. They weren't going, oh, you know, I think she just trimmed her own bangs. They don't care. For my business persona, I wear Harry Potter t-shirts. I teach and do lives in my Harry Potter t-shirts. It's just part of my personality. My viewers who don't even like Harry Potter or don't care still comment about that because that's something they're like on the inner circle, right? They get to know something about me, and that's something that you want to know. Another thing that people worry about is mispronouncing words, stuttering, forgetting something. Well, I'm a middle-aged lady. I'm 55 years old. I forget things. That's just part of what happens, and it just has to be part of my charm. I cook a lot of international foods, and there are things that I pronounce wrong, and I apologize when I know I've done it, but like I love chili, so guajillo. And I had asked someone before if I was pronouncing it right who spoke Spanish, and they were kind to me and didn't tell me, so I mispronounced that forever. No one cared. Someone who became close to me, an actual reader, corrected me. And I was like, okay, great, now we can go on with this. No one sees it as like a sign of weakness or, you know, if someone's mispronouncing something on the news, that's one thing. We're teaching, we're hanging out. Again, if you would try to pronounce it in front of your friends and family, try to pronounce it on the live. And you can also prepare to avoid some of that. But if you stutter, if you say a wrong word, if you forget it, and it's what's cool about lives, if I'm like, when I'm teaching a class, I teach for 3 hours. I teach 5 to 6 recipes in a class. So I'm doing 3 or 4 different Instant Pots at the same time and doing all these other things. And it's my audience that'll go, oh, don't forget about this, right? It gives them a chance to be helpful to me and feel like they're in the kitchen with me. So it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay just to be you. Because you really don't have a lot of other choice, so why not just embrace it? People are friends with you over other people because of who you are. There are a bazillion vegan bloggers out there. People are my readers and fans because of me, right? We're our brand. So letting people have a little bit of access to us, letting them see that the kitchen isn't perfect, that, you know, it's just what it is. That is really important to people. So another thing that people say is I can't go live because my kids, spouse, relatives, pets will interrupt me. And let me assure you, they will. So, and if they don't, the UPS man will ring the doorbell, or, something will happen. I have a dog, and actually while I'm filming this, my wife is downstairs with the dog because he would have a fit. And while I'm trying to make this a little more professional, because some of you don't know me already, my people, my readers, love it. They're like, where's Max? He's so quiet. Or, ooh, I hear Max on the deck. I bet the mailman's coming, isn't it? So-and-so, my dog's name is this. And, and it actually creates this conversation and warmth. And there are times when he'll be just whining, and so we come out into the back over here, and I move it back where everybody can see Max, and I'm like, Max, say hey to everyone. All of a sudden, it comes from being a disturbance to being this moment, this private moment they got invited in to share, right? So now they feel closer to me. I feel less guilty about my dog barking, and we're all happy, and we just go on along with it. In fact, Cheryl does a lot of stuff for me during the classes, and people want to see her now. She hates it, but she's getting more used to it. And people say, how is Cheryl? Will Cheryl eat this? Because Cheryl's a picky eater. And again, they become in your inner circle. They know things about you, right? It's just like if people are taking classes with you in person, they know little quirks and things, and that's what that's like. So interruptions are going to happen. I've had people knocking at my door in the middle of a live, and the first time it happens is pretty horrifying. The 15th time, you're like, I got to go answer the door. I'll be back in a minute. They'll be there or they won't. It'll be okay. I've done paid lives with sponsors and brands. I've blown fuses during lives. I've had the power go out. I've had the internet go out. These things are going to happen. And you just pick it up and you just go along as you can. When the fuse went out, I went and changed the fuse, came back up, started up again, right? It's just like anything else. Think of a live as if you were doing a class, right? You wouldn't just go, oh, well, the lights went out. Sorry, guys, see you in a month. Right? You just fix it and you come back. It's no different. The real reason a lot of people don't go live, if they admit it to themselves or not, it's just that they're scared. It makes your stomach hurt. You feel nervous. You're not sure what to do. And that's going to happen. So let me assure you that I did not feel as comfortable when I started as I do now. And it's probably been 3 or 4 years that I've been doing lives now. And the first 6 months was torture. So I had a business coach who was encouraging me to do live. So I'm like, oh, I'll pitch it out. So I pitched it out to a client. They're like, sure. And I was like, crap, I got to figure this out. Because I didn't think anyone was going to buy it. And so I literally kind of went through my paces on paid things and made my mistakes there. And you've got to get your mistakes out of the way, one way or the other. And I'm going to talk a little bit next about how I think there's a more comfortable way that you can do it than I did. But everyone feels scared. Everyone thinks their voice sounds weird at first. Everyone avoids looking at the videos after they've done them, right? So we've got ways around that where we can still improve and go along. So, but before I get there, let's talk about why. And again, we've kind of been talking about why we should go live all the way through. It creates stronger relationships with your readers, clients, anyone on the other side of that lens that gets to see you. And it's stronger, closer relationships. It's great for communication because people can ask questions to you in real time. Now, I love questions. So if people are asking me questions, I can talk all day long. And so it makes it very easy for me, and I don't feel like I have to plan as much because I know someone's going to ask something. It's also really creates this sense of community within your audience, because then what happens is, so I have some people who show up regularly, and now they're like, oh, hey, to each other. Right? So, and in my private group, these kind of loyal fans now also jump in. They're like, oh, I know Kathy would tell you to do this. I know Kathy would tell you to do that. And now we have this community. And during this time, it's just precious to have this kind of community. So my community, it skews a little bit older, though there's a wide range. So some of those people are alone right now. So going on for a half an hour to an hour and a half every day makes a difference in that person's life. And that's one of the reasons. It's important to think why you're doing this. You're not really doing it to sell things, though you will be putting that information out. I tell people about classes and things like that, but it's not for, the way I use live is not for a sales pitch. I do believe other people can use it that way, and that works just fine. So let me tell you about how you can make your first lives easier. So first, we're probably just using a phone, right? And if you're not, that's okay too, but that's the assumption I'm kind of making for this. You're using a phone, and with a lot of these, you can choose not to post them. But I encourage you to go ahead and maybe start your own private Facebook group with a couple of friends, and have the one ringer friend who really will tell you the truth. You don't want the friend who's going to go, oh, you look so great, when your lighting sucks. You want someone to tell you, yeah, no, that's not working. You need to do this, this, and this. So the first thing I did is my friend Jenny Field of Pastry Chef Online was doing interviews with webcams. So I'm like, okay, well, she has a light. She's been using a webcam. Let's see how this works. So we would get on this private group, set up my lighting, set up my camera, see what's going on. So in this private group, I can go ahead and stream live so I can practice and see what that's like. If I'm using Ecamm, which if you're not right at the moment, you will be, you're clicking a button. How many seconds does it take for that to go to live? So there's certain things you're going to be watching. But having kind of a live video buddy is super helpful. So they can help look at those things. Now, depending on how shy and reluctant you are, you may be able to just like put on your big girl pants and go watch those videos no matter how they make you feel, and really pick out things that you could do to improve yourself. I was not able to do that. So my friend did that. I'm like, okay, what do I need to do different? What can I do this? And then after about 6 months, I could start watching them, because if you're truly shy and reluctant, you don't want to watch them too early to where you're like, oh my God, I'm never doing that again, right? Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. You're going to feel uncomfortable. Some of them are going to be bad. You're going to mispronounce words. You're going to get interrupted. All the things will happen. But here's the thing. Practice makes progress. We are not looking for perfection. Live video is not about perfection. Live video is about connection. So, and you'll be surprised. I'm working with a group of women, and we've only been working for 3 sessions. And already they recognize, they feel weird, and then they see it, and they don't look weird. They don't look like they feel nervous. They don't look like any of that. So you're going to see that sometimes what you feel internally is not necessarily replicating itself outwardly. And if you look comfortable and you feel a little nervous, it's okay. It means you're alive, right? When we do things that we're not used to doing, we're supposed to be nervous. I was a musician. I played in the Louisiana Philharmonic, and that's just the way things are. You feel nervous and things get a little bit better. The more you practice, the more secure you'll become. And another thing, it can be hard to know, especially if you're switching cameras around, but to know where to look in the camera. And if you're using your phone, there are those little circular stickers that go on notebook paper so that they don't tear in the metal rings. You can put that over, so obviously where the lens goes through the circle in the middle, put that on to alert you, or you could put a little arrow pointing towards, hey, this is where you need to look. Like for me, in the Sony camera, it's a little bit harder than if I'm looking at my laptop, which obviously I'm not looking at you now, which doesn't help, but I have a little green light. So I know if I look at that green light, I'm doing great. So there's that. Okay, does that help? Okay. So another thing to do is when somebody comes on, I had some students who were just like, whoa, they're saying stuff, I'm losing my train of thought. And if you want to, you can write out some things. I even have some notes right now to make sure that I don't forget to cover something. I want to cover something. So, or maybe if I'm doing a class, I have all the recipes written down, just go ahead and take a look and then go ahead and go to the next place. Now, when someone says hello or you see someone pop on, you know, I always do something like, tell me who you are and where you are, blah, blah, blah. So if once they comment, you'll see their name, and now you have another personal connection. And this personal connection is so amazing. You really, really want to keep that. And so sometimes I'll ask something stupid, and maybe you can think of a better stupid thing to ask, but I'm like, tell me where you're from and what the weather's like, because I have people all over. So it's snowing one place and it's 80 degrees another place. Right now, one of the things I'm saying is I give them the option, tell me what the weather's like where you are or how you're doing. Are you holding up still, right? So I'm giving them an opening to tell me if they need something, if they need a little extra attention. And so that's one thing that's super important too. And ask these questions. And it's so funny because it seems so cheesy to go ahead and just say, hey, blah, blah, la, 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 right? And I remember the first time someone told me, my eyes almost rolled back into my head. Then I was on a live, and someone said, hey, Kathy, and I was like, oh, they're talking to me. And I was like, oh, crap. You know, it is important. It is helpful. And then you just start having this conversation, and it just starts to flow more and more. And maybe you keep on exactly what your track was. Maybe it changes, right? Maybe 5 people are out of non-dairy milk, and I need to show them how to make oat milk real quick. I'm okay with that. Be flexible. You don't have to go on for an hour. You don't have to go on and on and on, right? You can just literally go in your first time, and this is what I am assigning my students in the Shy and Reluctant class that I teach. Go into the page or group that's safest for you, where you know your people the best, and just say, hey, I just wanted you guys to know I was thinking about you. I know this is a hard time. Is there anything I can do to help? And you can be more specific than that, like,
what kind of business is it going for?
And see, speaking of interruptions, I don't know why my phone keeps doing that when I don't say her name, but that does keep happening. So I'm going to leave it in, right? It just is relatable. It's annoying too, but it's relatable. So, and it does for sure throw you off track, but just keep going, right? Just know that by saying something like, well, I wanted to know if there's any recipes that you need from me. What do you have in your fridge that you don't know how to use? Or I'm trying to think of another field. You know, if I was when I'm doing video stuff, I might say, can you list out 10 things that you could talk about? And I encourage you to do this. I would love it if you would write 10 things in your niche that you could talk about that you don't need to think about. Like, I can make oat milk right now for you without ever thinking of anything. It's just easy. And when you're doing a live video, it doesn't have to be difficult as far as whatever complicated thing you want to teach people, because people want to know the basics. Now, it's not every client in every situation, but when I was first doing things, I was doing more complicated things, and I would cook some stuff so I could have the reveal and doing all this. Then one day I was tired, and I'm like, I'm going to show people how to make a Cajun spice blend, which is literally me pouring spices and mixing them with a spoon. And I was like, there's going to be the big revolt. Well, there wasn't. There wasn't the big revolt. Why? Because no one had made Cajun spice blend before, and they were excited that they could make it the way they wanted to make it. And so we need to stop putting ourselves in our own heads. We're not doing these live videos for ourselves. We're doing these live videos for our people, our clients, our readers, our supporters. And so it's easy to support them. The reason they follow us is because we know something they don't know. And they want to learn how to do it. So whatever that is, it's easy enough to do. So what I would like to challenge you to do is today, possibly as soon as you get done with this or in the evening, just go to a Facebook group or a Facebook page, or you could do your Instagram stories. Instagram stories disappear in 24 hours, so that's a good place to start too. And just start this conversation, or show what you're having for dinner, or talk about Leap into live streaming Bootcamp and tell somebody else about it, right? Just do something simple and then be done with it and let it sit there. So I think that that's super important to do. Also, after that, I would challenge you to try and go live for 7 days in a row. And it can be on various platforms. And the reason I think going live 7 days in a row, it gets you over your nerves, right? So those 7 days are not going to feel so comfortable. Day 8, 9, and 10 are. And so it's worth going through that. And really, talk 5 minutes if you want to. If you are a recipe person like me, demo something simple. Just something easy, something that can't go wrong, right? Just start doing that. And after that, or instead of, if you can't bring yourself to do this for 7 days, though I think the benefit is so worth it, is that try to pick a day and a time each week and go live. And the more consistent you are in that, so for the first couple of years I did Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So people will start showing up. And at first, and when you're doing these 7 days, no one may show up. No one. You may have 0 people. That's why you have your friend that you plant in the audience, right? So you know you're talking to her. So you're looking through the camera just like this. Instead of seeing the camera, maybe I'm seeing Jenny's face, or I'm seeing Brandy's face. I'm seeing somebody. And then if I had a lull, that person can plant a question for me, because I do well with questions. If you don't, you can have them not plant a question for you. But just kind of keep going. And the thing about live video is it doesn't matter how many people are watching you live. Let's let that sink in for a minute. It's okay if no one is watching you live while you're going live. Why? Because they're going to watch the replay. So even now, I mean, sometimes I may have 30 people watching me live, which is not a lot. I'm sure some of you out there have hundreds and thousands of people watching you live. I just have a couple dozen. And within 48 hours, usually 1,000 people have seen that, right? So while my target live audience is wonderful and allows me to interact, it helps me make a better live. The video itself, its lifespan is longer than that. And if you don't like it, you can take it down. And that's on any of the social platforms. So don't feel like if you've really, really botched it, or you really feel uncomfortable, you can delete it. I encourage you to sit with some of that, to let yourself not be perfect, because you're not going to be perfect. We're not perfect people. People just aren't. Editing makes things perfect, right? Live videos aren't edited. It's real. You know, everybody loves bloopers, everybody loves live video. And so if you can just go live every week, and sometimes in the beginning it's going to feel like you're just talking to the void, just the absolute void. But if you have your friend there, that's a help. And have something you know you're going to talk about, even if it's, I don't know. You know, one of the things I've talked about is I've been trying to research how I should be cleaning my vegetables. And I explain where I may or may not have found that information, that I am not a public health professional, but this is how I'm doing it. It can be something so tiny. Or another thing that I've been sharing with my people is where they can get groceries. What delivery services am I using? So think of something even as small, whatever your niche is, how can you somehow be helpful in this extra time, right? If you're a teacher, how can you help maybe your students document this time for themselves for years later? There's just, the whole world is open. But even if you think you're talking to no one, you will be talking to other people. And one of the things that I do now, especially with Ecamm, makes this easy for me. And I use multiple cameras when I'm doing my classes, and I'm going to be doing another video about that coming up. But you can schedule your lives so that people know what's going to go on. You can do that through Ecamm. You can also do it through Facebook itself. So either way that you're doing it, you want to go, if you're going to share to a bunch of places, you want to go to your Facebook page and put it there. Then share to your group, because Facebook private groups can't be shared from. And that's the only reason. You can go live just in your group to give them like a little special something. So if you have a group, it might be your most safe place. It might be the place where people like you the best. I always feel like when I go into my group, I'm like, I'm helping them, but they're the ones that say, hey, if you have a cold, why don't you take the day off? And I'm like, this is awesome. So I love my group. But you can go live on your page, you can schedule it, then it'll put something up there like a little post and count down and let people get a reminder. And from that you can share to your personal page, you can share to your groups, you can share a lot of places to your Facebook stories. And that's typically what I do to kind of get the word out. So you can do that, or you can kind of commit to, I go live Tuesdays at 1 p.m. and do that. And if you're going to go live once a week, instead of doing that 7 days, commit to at least 4 months if you can. And you can even just write down quick things that you could do, because there's no time limit, right? There's no, you know, you're not getting paid to do 45 minutes of X. You're giving this, you're, you know, give and take. I find a lot of times my lives will go longer than I expect them to. But on the other hand, it's also okay for it to just be short. You can come in and do a public service announcement. You know, you can come in and say into your group, hey, I know you guys have been quiet. I know a lot's going on. I thought that we would do X, Y, or Z together. And kind of, I want to see how you're doing. Or just pop in and go, hey, I just wanted to let you guys know I'm going to come in and do some live video. That can be your first video. But I know that you're going to do really, really well. You have a skill set. You have information and knowledge to share. And practice is uncomfortable. But practice is what's going to get you where you want to be. And it will become easier and easier, and mistakes will still happen, and your people will still love you. So I hope that I've encouraged you and hopefully broken down some of those obstacles for you to go live. And I'd love for you to go live now. And I can't wait to see what you put out into the world, because it's going to be brilliant. So have a wonderful rest of the summit.